Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Harne podcast. It is said that where there is a will, there is a way. And my guest today is a living embodiment of that adage. He has a speech impediment, but that did not prevent him from getting into the DeGroote School of Business in Canada. And he further went on to get a job at CIBC through the prestigious GLDP program. His name is Chinmay Ravindran, and on this podcast, he tells us how he was able to achieve this marvelous feat. Before we begin this conversation, please like this video, leave us a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to share it with your friends whom you think might benefit from it. Now, let's talk to Chinmay. Hello, Chinmay. How are you doing? Thank you
Hi.
for your time and welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me here.
Pleasure to have you. And Chinmay, I always start the podcast with asking my guests to introduce themselves. So if you could tell us about your undergraduate degree, your work experience before your MBA, and what you are doing right now.
Right. Sounds good. So, hey, so hi all. I'm Chinmay Ravindran. And I'm an MBA grad from the DeGroote School of Business at McMaster University, and just a quick heads up for all the other viewers here. I'm a person who stutters, as you can see. So I tend to go into verbal blocks or pauses from time to time. So just keep that in mind while seeing the podcast. So um, to go.
And like before you continue, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We are all
Yes.
flawed in some ways. So it's very brave of you to put that out and persist and reach where you are right now. So I'm sorry again for interrupting. Please continue.
No worries, of course, right. So to take back to about the 2017, I had just recently graduated with a BTech in computer science from SRM University in Chennai, and I had a fair bit of coding skills and software consultancy skills, which then led me to work for Tata Consultancy Services for 3 years in a banking project with ING Bank in the Netherlands. So while my team was still remote, I was working offshore in my hometown of Mumbai. Um, so I worked there for 3 years, but then deep down, my ambition was not to stay back in tech, and I wanted to make a career shift from technology consulting and software more towards consumer product management and marketing. So that led me to make the decision to get my MBA, and I knew that I didn't want to spend the rest of my life in India for a bunch of reasons, both professional plus personal. So like from all the countries which offer good MBAs plus the prospects to stay back and with respect to work opportunities,
Mhm.
I then made the decision to come to Canada. But since it was the peak COVID going on, I had to take a step back and come to Canada a little later than planned. But I finally made it here, and I did 3 co-ops as a part of the MBA program. And now I'm currently working in CIBC as a GLDP associate, which is basically a 2-year rotation program in which you get to experience 4 different teams within the bank.
Right, wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Chinmay. And let me dig into your experiences now. So let's start with your GMAT. I hear that you have a 700 plus on the GMAT, which is an elite score. Now, with that score, you could have applied to the IIMs or the ISB in India or the Harvards and the Stanfords of the world. Now, with such a score, why did you then choose to come to Canada?
Right. So the root of my of my of my the is the decision to come to Canada for my MBA. It could be traced back to 2004 to 7, in which my family and I had moved for 5 years to South Africa, and that's where I got my first taste of a global education, in which I did my schooling from 4th grade to 7th grade in a global school with a diverse student body, and but then once I came back to Mumbai and I did the usual 10th and 12th and BTech, I still craved that global education, because I know that that such schools around the world focus not just on the academics, but you the
Holistic approach.
holistically,
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
So they they tend to fine tune all your skills and make you well rounded as a person. And I didn't want to join the workforce back in, India, due to a bunch of reasons. So I chose to come to Canada. Now, from all the B schools in Canada, I spent months doing doing research and speaking to past students, to current students of the top 10 schools, and I found out that with a 710 score in GMAT, um, I could have gotten into Queens or Schulich or Rotman or IV and so on. So no B school was outside my scope, but I didn't want to choose a program just because it was ranked first or ranked second. So ranking was not my top my criteria, but
Mhm.
based on speaking to a bunch of people, the what I so is that you got to choose a school based on the whole fit. So um, based on how the program structure and the course selections and the teachers and the scope to get a full-time job, um, how all those factors ties into your personal goals as well. So just because you get a 750 score on GMAT, so that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go to the top school. You know what I mean? If you're trying to make a career shift, or if you're trying to work part time, then that the school selection would not be so straightforward, straightforward, right? And that's the biggest thing I see MBA as. aspirants do is that they just go blindly based on ranking. They want that brand name, that tag name to stick on their skin for life, which is a good so it is a good thing, but that's not where the buck stops. There's so much more to an MBA program than just the ranking. Uh, so unless of course you want to if your dream role is to join McKinsey, then of course you need to be in the top three B schools, of course. But that set of people are just far and few. But for my case, that I wanted um, to make a career shift from technology towards product management and marketing. So I wanted to specialize in a good marketing program. Now, Schulich did come to the top of my mind because I spoke to a bunch of Schulich people, and I saw what the program has to offer, and that did seem like the best school to specialize in marketing because of the great deal of marketing courses, the marketing profs, and so on. But I that took a step back, and I saw that maybe for a person like me with zero marketing experience, um, going to a non-co-op full-time traditional MBA program may not have been the right option for me. So if I went into Schulich or Ortman, I I would have gained a lot of knowledge um, in um, marketing. But then what? So usually the people who get marketing roles full time post MBA, they have some amount of marketing experience back in India, and it's those people who get the roles. Now here, the job market does say that we don't look for prior the that the relevant
Relevant experience. Yeah.
experience. But if you're set up against a lot of people who have way more of that experience, they are the ones who will get that role, and you won't. you know but that said, I wanted three co-ops to allow me to be competitive in that pool post graduation. So that's why the whole concept of co-ops is brilliant for me. So in my opinion, for people who want to make a career shift through an MBA.
Yeah, that's like a very wise answer and a lot of insights from your answers because, as you rightly pointed out, a lot of people with a good GMAT score just aim for the elite business schools, thinking that we want that tag, and it makes sense for them. But each one is different.
Yep.
So your choices made perfect sense for what you wanted to do in your career. So thank you for that answer, Chinmay. And you
Thank
touched
you.
upon a point of co-ops and internships. And
Mhm.
I have seen that you have quite a few before you started working at CIBC. So could you tell us the process by which you were able to land so many co-ops and internships, and how did you prepare? Like, I'm sure they must have had some resume preparation, some networking involved. So how was that journey like?
Right. So uh, uh, um, I have to disclose first that if you're in a structured, dedicated co-op program like that of the DeGroote MBA, the college college staff, they help you to a certain extent to find those co-ops, right? Because these co-ops are incentivized for company by the government. So the government uh, um, they waive off the federal tax to all the employers for co-op students. So the whole concept of co-op is um, pretty big here in Canada. So these co-op schools have a separate job board for co-op students to find their co-op, and that job board is not necessarily the same as the non-co-op students. So both these groups of people have separate job boards, and and the roles and companies on both these job boards are not the same, right? um, but the but so regardless of if you're in a co-op stream or a full-time stream, the underlying concept of finding an internship still stays the same, of course, starting with um, attending all those campus information sessions that the employers do. So they go around the province to various schools and colleges and showcase their brand, the work culture, and the kind of roles that you can get into. So that's a great way to be in touch with the recruiting team of the company, because now being in a company, we know that the talent team keeps a track of who speaks up the most, who asks valid and relevant questions, who doesn't um, turn on their camera, who speaks way too much and tries to show off to the crowd. They track all this. So then later on, once you apply for the role, they match this. They see that if you have attended our previous campus sessions or not. So be diligent in attending those, and you can try reach out to recruiters through LinkedIn, but that's basically like shooting an arrow in the dark, because they get bombarded with 200, 300 requests per week from people uh, 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 like us, the students who want to find a role, who want a one-on-one coffee chat with the recruiter. And there's just so many coffee chats that they can do. So sometimes what they do is they have a group coffee chat, which is like a campus session, but it's more closed, and and there's more for the focus per student. So you can attend those group coffee chats as well. So what the talent team does in those group coffee chats is they bring in some senior co-op students who have done that role last year or 2 years ago, to speak to new students, right? So that's a great way to get to know the role through people like you who have gotten through last year, right? So, and uh, the job description is very, very important, because that's the um, the main document using which you can curate your CV, you can curate the cover, the letter, and you can make sure you use certain keywords or transferable skills you find in the JD to your resume, because this level of customization is needed to stand out from a huge pack of CVs which go up to the team, right? And yeah, and another way is to just send cold mails, right, to certain team members of your target role. So let's say you're trying to go into brand management in some company. Try find out the email format for that company. Usually it's first name dot last name at the the company, but sometimes that format can change. Now, why I'm saying is that if you just book a 15-minute cold chat, right, to a manager, to a senior director, chances uh, are that they will say yes to this, because they also check their work mail way more than they check LinkedIn. And so the unconventional the trick was shared to me by my senior, and this did work for a few occasions. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. So these are some things that you can keep that can keep in mind while trying to get a co-op. And if you have an option of doing a co-op slash a work term, please do it, because that's a great way to build your network and to try convert that to full time, because um, converting a 4-month work term to a full time is much simpler than trying to get a full time from scratch.
Yeah, those are wonderful tips, Chinmay, and thank you again for that detailed and insightful answer. Chinmay, now let's talk about the GLDP. So, if you could expand on what it is, and do all the banks offer this program, or is it something specific to CIBC Bank?
Okay, so a GLDP stands for Graduate Leadership de- uh, uh, um, Development um, Program, and it's essentially a new grad program for 2 years, in which you get to choose your team you want to work with. And for CIBC specifically, each rotation is 6 months long. And now this kind of a 2-year rotation program, it can be found with all the big five banks, right? And they do this to gain talent and to absorb that, to become a part of their workforce long term. So they know the skills and the talent and what we MBA grads can bring in to those teams, and they know how to tap into this talent. So in my opinion, a GLDP sort of a thing is really great as your first foot into a bank. And it's not just with banks. A bunch of companies, be it CPG, retail, opera, operations, logistics, and so on, they have some variation of this rotation program. And the good thing about this program is that um, you get to build 4 different networks, you know what I mean, with each of these rotations. And the key is to choose them wisely, so that there's some synergy among these four rotations. And So with CIBC GLDP plus the GLDPs of the banks, the talent team sponsors this program. So so your salary comes from the career program teams, and the ro- ro- rotation team basically gets free work done by you for those 6 months. So those teams, they crave GLDP associates. They want them on their team to see if they could transform you to a manager or to a senior manager once you're done with the GLDP. So it's a win-win for both, for you plus the rotation team as well.
So, I mean, no wonder GLDP positions are one of the most sought after positions for MBA grads. If you could tell us your experience, your journey of
Mm.
how you got through the GLDP resume, networking, interview, how was the process like, please?
Right. Okay. So, with the GLDP, essentially is a new grad program, but for CIBC and I think a few more banks, they have a summer work term version of the GLDP. So in CIBC's case, that's called as a GLDP summer term. Okay, which is basically a segue to get a taste of what the full scale GLDP feels like, right? And and so the talent team will roll these listings off on all the job boards across schools and and colleges, plus on these public job boards like LinkedIn, Indeed as well. Now, the thing with these structured bank pro- the programs is that they try to recruit really or on. So let's say you're trying to get a summer term, and if you start finding a role for that from January, you might be a little too late with respect to these kinds of programs. So usually, as soon as you start off your program in the fall term, that's when you would see most of these listings go live on the job board. So you need to be quick to a find these and to know about them, and then to apply in time. So with respect to the whole recruitment process, I got to know of this in the previous fall term, so around September, and then I attended their campus session at DeGroote, and I got to speak to the HR, speak to the talent, speak to a few and to speak to a few current GLDP associates to get to know their experience, their journey, what worked for them, what did not work for them, some tips and stuff like that. So that session was really great, and I managed to make a good first impression through that session. Then I also privately reached out to those GLDP associates to get to speak to them on one, and they helped me with some tips to keep in mind while while making your application, and some tips for the interview. So, like with most roles, the first round is a pre-recorded Q&A through some platform, which is very common here in Canada, not just for some summer terms and for jobs, but get into these programs too. So you would do this pre-recorded interview to get an mate from B schools as well. And now I have a speech impediment. So these kind of pre-recorded interviews usually get timed out for me because the questions and the answers, they have a time. They so they have a prefix time limit of 1 minute or 2 minutes, or things like that. Now, since I take a little bit of more time to speak, such a format was not really inclusive for me. Now, here in Canada, uh, uh, um, all companies and the job market are very sensitive to needs of people, and they really welcome a need for accommodation as well. So I reached out to the talent team and said, "Hey, here's my case, and I would like." If we can do this live through Zoom rather than a pre-recorded, pre-timed one, So then the CIBC talent team were really were really accommodative to make this happen. And I spoke to a member of the talent team and went through with the first round. The questions are about you, and they want to get to know you, your strengths and your weaknesses, your skills, what you can bring to the table, and some prior leadership experience, because the L in GLDP stands for leadership. So that's the main thing that they want to test you for. They want to know if you're capable of being a good leader down the line. Now, you may not have a strong leadership experience of being a manager pre MBA or leading a team of 4 or 5. No. So, and they know that too. So they don't want to see the exact leadership experience, but they want to see the leadership potential, right? So and that was the main theme for all the interviews. And since the whole concept is to work with 4 different teams, they also want to see if you are passionate about banking, and if you are like flexible enough to try out various teams within the bank. That's another quality they want to check. So then I got selected for the round 2, which is the final round, and that's a case-based round. Now, this so for case-based round, they give you a case prompt, and just one day or maybe 2 days for you to prepare a pitch to a panel live. um, and um, and so it was the first time of me doing a case-based round, because I had not applied for consulting roles, and these case-based rounds are very common for consulting roles, right? So I had to go back to my peers who know about this, and they taught me how to tackle a case-based round. And essentially, uh, uh, it's just trying to narrow down from this vague big the prompt to narrow down on one or few sub um, um, area, in which you want to show your solution. Okay, so you can decide what solution you want to give, but it's to just make sure that it's backed by data, it's backed by research, plus it's backed by your conviction to sell that pitch to the panel, right? And and as usual, they would drill you with a few follow-up questions. They might stop you in between your pitch to ask a quick question too, which is not normal. And they're basically trying to test you if you can pitch a new solution to the VP once you join a team, right? And and that makes sense because presentation skills and the skills to defend your idea works a long way in these corporate leadership settings. So that's essentially the whole recruitment process for GLDP. Then if you get chosen for it, you would go back and forth with a few shortlist teams, right? And you get to speak to those leaders to see the fit between you and the team and the work they do. So you rank those three teams yourself, and the team leaders uh, they now they would have spoken to not just you, but they would have spoken to more GLDP associates as well. So they also get to rank you guys. Now, so that's basically a two-way match, two-way rank match system. And so, if there's a match, then you will be paired with that team for the next 6 months. So that's essentially how it works.
All right, thank you. And like you said, because CIBC and the other companies over here are accommodative, so they don't lose out on great talent like yourself. If you could dig down on the case round more, I would
Hmm.
like to know, how did you prepare for it? As you said that you had not presented a case to anyone before this. Then how did you go about preparing for it?
Yeah, I the so the first thing is that I spoke to my consulting friends who have done this time and time and again in the past, and they gave me some key tips to do a good case pitch. And I sort of knew how to deal with the case round, because that's the same way you would do a case competition, right, through your MBA. So that knowledge was there, but I just needed to know how to fine tune that knowledge for the case interview, right? And um, I spent a few hours doing good research, and to show stats, to show citations, and to show that one pager which you need to send to them in a really good readable format. Because usually for these case rounds, they don't want you to prepare a huge 10 slide deck, but they just want a one-page sheet which shows the main the main that solution onto the face, right? So I use some charts, some visualization tools like Tableau and Excel to make sure that one pager stands out, and to know the matter in depth so as to be able to defend the Q&A. Because let's say you create a good a pitch for 5 minutes, but then you just don't know um, about the case in depth, that you flunk the Q&A out. That's a red flag as well, right? And usually for case-based rounds, that doing some sort of a competitor analysis goes a long way, because the banks want to see what the other banks are doing with the case prompt, right? With that theme. So I looked at what not only the big five banks in Canada are doing, but what US banks are doing, what EU banks are doing, what APAC banks are doing, and so on. So that was some prep which worked for the case round.
Yep. Thank you. And as you said, do take part in the case competitions. They always help
Yeah.
with the job interview process. And the competitor analysis is essential too. So, Chinmay, we are heading towards the end of this podcast. So,
Mhm.
I would like to ask you, like, you have a speech impediment. And like I said, we all are flawed in some way or the others. But what is your message to people who might have other challenges? What would you like to tell them?
Right. So, um, right. So, a big thing about the work culture back in, in India was that they ranked um, ableism the most, right? And they had very low um, tolerances towards people who might not look normal, who might not be normal. But so, um, here Canada, the whole job culture loves um, um, all people, and they really value differences and diversity, right? So um, we can have some flaw with us, but if we still try be ourselves and shamelessly live life and do your job, and make friends, the regardless of what adversity we face, that's what they see. So if we are not comfortable with our own selves, and with our flaws, then the whole world will not be comfortable, because they see that you are trying to be covert, to shy away from showing your real real self. Now, in my case, fast talking or blitzing through a presentation in less than 2 minutes, or less than 15 seconds per slide, that's not my skill. But I've learned to see the larger picture in trying to be a a good communicator, because beyond all these things, being a good communicator is what is valued the most. Now, and in the workplace, you can take a lot of time to speak, or to show a presentation to a VP. But what matters is, if you can communicate well to that person. So flaws are there. You have flaws, we have flaws, but essentially, we don't own this flaw. It is a part of us, but it's not us. We are way more than this one flaw.
That's right. And like they say, our differences are what makes each one of us unique. So
Exactly.
thank you. You have any final thoughts before we end this? Anything you feel I might have missed on? Anything you want to say? Anything at all?
Right. So I so here that here are two three things which I wish I knew when I was an MBA aspirant a few years back. The first thing is um, uh, to properly plan your your path, to exactly know why you want to do an MBA, and in which field you want to uh, 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 um, do you want to transition, if you want to make that transition, and to know know what kind of roles you want to try out, and why. So essentially, to look beyond just the MBA. I've seen a lot of people is they keep the MBA as the goal, but that's just the beginning. There's a whole life ahead of it, and um, and what program you choose and why dictates that path ahead. So essentially, to work backwards would be a great way to choose your program. And another thing is, um, all the answers to your questions about a program, a college, a course, sir, the job market, the country, the pay, the taxes, all these fun stuff uh, um, um, is available for you to know. The main thing is just to reach out and grab it. So there's a lot of people who know the answers to your questions, and essentially doing really strong networking prior to joining program will give you that clarity. So here's an example. A few years ago, I had actually reached out to Raghav to know a little bit about the Schulich MBA program, and why he chose it, the pros and cons, and what would you gain from being in a program. So he was really helpful to share that with me, and that made me more equipped to make the decision like, between my choices. So essentially, reach out to a lot of people and speak to them and try build the connection from now itself, because uh, uh, who who knows, a few years down the line, somebody you talk to, you spoke to 2 3 years ago, you might cross paths with them later on.
Yeah. As our paths have crossed again today.
Exactly.
So I think those are wonderful parting thoughts. Thank you so much for your time, Chinmay. And I
Thank you so
wish you
much
all
for
the
having
best for
me.
your future.
Thank you.
And that was the episode for today. I hope you liked this conversation and were able to get some inspiration from it. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next week. Till then, this is your host, Raghavendra Harne, signing off. Take care.